5, tension was running high at my school. A lot of fight between the black and white. There was nothing you could do. Horses and lights.
Hello, Bruce Springsteen in the morning. Relax, get the day going, get yourself ready. Hope everyone's feeling well. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founding partner, also founder of Red Dog Mindset. For some of you asking, yes, today we are doing a webinar with Adam Mesh, the famous Adam Mesh, going over a few different things that we do to make the community money. Anyway, with that being said, today is Thursday, and hopefully everyone's feeling good. It's been a week. We've had some interesting action after a 30% move in the NASDAQ finally. Not finally, but, things got a little wishy-washy yesterday. So we'll see, what today brings after, a little bit of a move below the 8-day moving average. Did feel like it was coming, so there were definitely ways to hedge, put on some puts, and adjust. So hopefully you guys adjusted real time and went with your go time. That's why we're up every day early. That is why I have the 20 at 5:20 where I do a workout with a few hundred of my dogs, getting the mind right, getting ready. So this way, when things feel a certain way, you trust yourself and you execute the X's and O's. Chart patterns are great. Pivots are great. Strategies are great. But unless you're thinking clearly, there's no way you can execute. And again, that's why that's what the Red Dog Mindset is for. So if you want, subscribe above. Or if you've been enjoying the 630 Club since 2020. Anyway, with that being said, here we are, the spies, right? Let's get a little bigger spy picture. There you go. With that, you don't need me here. So what happened? We had this upper bull flag going sideways. If you were involved thinking, hey, we just had your low, you had a higher low, we broke the downtrend, we held the 8-day. And if you've been buying a dip this entire time, well, this kind of changed a little bit, just a little bit, where if you were playing for sideways to get above this and get back towards the highs, it changed. So you had to adjust your risk. So now if the sellers are going to keep some control, right, they do not let this 580 area, 588 area get reclaimed. And if they really want it to be a feeble rally, that gets rejected, they probably don't let the 8-day, which is now around 580, 550, get reclaimed. If all of a sudden that gets reclaimed, we come back in it, hey, then maybe we're just hanging here and doing a time digestion versus, a move towards, 577, which I would think happens. It's not guaranteed, but I would think we get some kind of move there. But we'll see. At this point, the spies are up $1 after being down a bunch. So do we hold here and then go red and then break 581.82 and work towards 577? That could happen. Do we hang here a day? Tomorrow is the day before Memorial Day. We'll see what goes on. Those are the levels. The Qs, also, if you look at this rally in the Qs, like 30%, there was a lot of movement, and then it felt like on Monday when we opened lower and went green, every short kind of capitulated and every bull got a little bit too complacent. And then on Tuesday, it kind of felt as if, with rates and the sell programs, you had to be careful. And then yesterday, we got below 516.60, came into the 8-day, made a low of 511.24. So I kind of think we're going to see at least 508. If not, why couldn't we test this gap? Look where we came from. It's been a hell of a move. We went within 5% or so to the highs here. So hopefully you made some good money. A lot of my dogs are back near the highs of their year. A lot of them made different types of money in all different types of time frames, right? We put two tiers of the blood in the street account to work out of the 4, and that's back at cash. Carved out a nice, I think, 6% for my wife. She's back at all-time highs. Everyone was running for the hills, during this process of the last down move, and that's when the blood in the street gets put to work. Hopefully you're doing your 401k, and hopefully, right here, the trade kind of changed where we went back above the moving averages and we had a lot of nice movement. So we'll see what happens to those names now. So what is my focus? My focus started to focus on Google. I was on Spaces on Monday with a lot of the younger guys. Not that all younger. I do it every Monday now at 3 o'clock. I won't be doing it this Monday because I'm going to be in the Bahamas. and Miami. But anyway, um, with the presentation they had on AI, I was buying a lot of 170 calls into the weakness here because they tried to sell the event. And PS yesterday, it showed relative strength. Stock went to 173.14. And a lot of people on the alpha team, which is where I hang out all day and I trade with my dogs from around the world, made really good money. We were buying on the dip down to like $1.50, and I think I sold calls all the way up to like $4 yesterday, and I still stayed with some. So I would think, this name starts to get better. Stock's been in this horrible range for not horrible, but really as great as everyone says the mega cap names have been. They're not that. They haven't been that great. Google, in 2024 was up here. In 2000, a year ago was in the same spot. So you've had these little patterns like this inverted head and shoulders pattern. This gap and go to the downside. Now I do think I'm gonna just. It moved up the list. It went from like the C list to the B plus list, and yesterday just was a good day there. Microsoft moved up the list also. Question now is, will Microsoft, hold the 8-day here, go sideways, and be one of the first mega cap tech names to, take out the all-time highs? So far, for those of you who do swing trades that we teach a lot, in some of our webinars, you're long from 424, you don't really care. But if you were to be protective of your gains and of the 8-day and you trade more actively, I would make sure it holds this 448-ish. But anyway, Apple, Amazon are hard. Apple, you have this gap. Just say look, just like here's the cues. This is the Geneva gap. This is that gap from from when they put the China deal off. So this was a pretty big gap in the cues. Apple, which is part of the cues, what did it do? It's already filled that gap. So Apple is weaker. So although Apple is a great company, one of the best in the world, and I think you can be an investor, and if you've been investing for a decade, you've gotten rich, trading wise, it's been a little trickier. So I'm not as active in Apple. Tesla is a little different, like remember gap ups. So Tesla is not even near it. Okay. And it's just kind of testing the 8-day, and it's, although it couldn't break out 2 days ago, and if you were active and tried to buy it above 351 and didn't hold and came back in, they like to try and sell names when there's an event, and you had Musk talking to Faber and whatever. So PS yesterday tried to hold up. It broke. Remember yesterday, I'm like, if it breaks 341, you have to adjust. Wind up going down to 332.20. So let's put 330.32. So now we'll see if it could rebuild here. What do I mean by rebuild? I mean create a new area to hold, instead of rolling lower. But we'll see. At this point, I actually have no Tesla on right now. So I'd like to see how it trades now moving forward. But it is better than most names, considering, look, this was your Geneva gap, the China gap, and you have Apple in it. Amazon is already like trickling into it, after a move to 215, and went as low as what? Say 206. So anyway, a lot of little ways, little ways. Some guys like, hey, Red Dog. Hold on. Let me just see something. Yeah. So everyone's like, Red Dog, you did really well with this WRD, this We Ride. This was a tricky name. Sometimes I trade other names besides Mega Cap and the semis. We bought it really well in here, made some money, and then yesterday they came out with numbers and they had a big deal. They announced a big buyback, and they've been rolling their product out all over Europe and China, and I think this thing is going higher. So I'm still in it. At some point after a little digestion, I think it takes out this 1102, and it works. It works higher. I would think at some point, it at least gets to here or more. So just something on the side, to trade besides trading your Nvidias and your SMCIs and this and that. I like this. Anyway, what am I going to be focused on today? Palantir, okay, looks pretty good, I guess. I got stopped out of it yesterday. Some news of a deal. I'm not in it right now. I would think if it, has some room towards 124-ish, maybe, not a great setup. If it was lower into the 21-day, which has been support, I would be buying it, but now it's up $1.30. So it's not quite the setup. Sometimes you just got to have the right setup, and this isn't a great setup right here. Some guys like Red Dog. Did you see CRV? CRWV or CR? I think now people are getting caught in this as a short pain trade, not even as a long anymore. But yes, of course I did. I've listed this a bunch of times as the Chief Strategic Officer of T3 Live. It's my job to give you guys ways to make money, even if I'm not in it, and I'm not in it right now. We talked about it right here. Oh my God, a 47, and then our strategy, which we also go over lots of different ways, is when it takes out the post IPO high, which was here at 64. Look how it kind of got there, played with it, and then now boom, went as high as 109.49. So in my humble opinion, and my opinion usually is not that humble. No, of course it is. Can't do that. Hold on. Hold your horses. You cannot buy this today. I don't care if it goes up 5 more days, which I don't think it will. The stock right now is up again. I think a lot of people have been short this thing. CRWV, it's up another 6. I would think that today, if you are long it, which congratulations, what a friggin' move, you should be selling into this 113 area, getting out, reducing versus buying. That's my humble opinion. Does it mean you could short it? I'm not saying that. People have been shorting this, I think, since this day, and got their tushy squeezed yesterday. Now they're like hating the world. That's why I don't like to get caught in short squeezes, because I don't like to hate the world, and I don't like to wish for bad news. But anyway, if you do, okay, somebody peed in your Cheerios back in the day. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, 113-ish, firstly, the first way to make money in a short would now, if it opens up, doesn't hold 109, goes red and creates a little bit of a topping tail, then maybe, you have a leg to stand on with the 8-day all the way down here. But, we'll see. Let me see what some of my dogs are saying around the world. Who do we got? MLD, I'm not talking to you anymore. You're a flat lever. The Q's candle is really bearish, engulfs the whole range from the week. Yuck. Why yuck? A lot of people were waiting for this. A lot of people are trying to get a little short. Okay, so now the question is, today, do you get a green to red trade? Does this continue down towards 508 or 501? That could happen. Bitcoin at all-time highs. Congratulations. You know what? I got to say, for a 50, I am a 52-year-old. I'm not a 26-year-old Bitcoin guy, but I'm a technical guy, and we've done absolutely fantastic in Bitcoin this year. In my thesis, I'm like, Bitcoin like gold. You could buy it every single month. We've been talking about that for 2 years. And then I had big trades here back at the turkey trot. Remember the turkey trot? If I had a production manager here, I'd have him do a picture of when we came out with the turkey trot. Remember the turkey trot right here? My guys get involved in Bitcoin here at 62,000 before it breaks above 73,000. Everyone loves it to death. My target was 85,000. Guys made a ton of money, and then at 85,000, I'm like, we're doing the 100,000, the 100-yard dash, which meant 100,000. Going into Christmas, and we went to 109. And then right here, we were hyper focused on it, And why? Not because I'm a maximist, or whatever the hell they call themselves. It's because he had a nice tight move, got above the moving averages, and now boom. We've been in IBIT. Some guys have been making money in Mister. There's been a lot of different ways to make money. The Discord I'm in, the owner has been pushing CRWV so much. He was buying 100 to 250 in calls. Great. Good for you. That's great. Listen, I love to hear traders making money. You're pushing the buttons. You're trusting your process, and you're making good money. ASTS hurts you. Yeah, ASTS is a pain in the butt. At some point, I don't know when that point is, you'll get some kind of run like this. But as of right now, it hasn't done it, and it's just in this big range. Hasn't had its huge rollout. It hasn't made its big deals. It's still trying to raise money with an ATM. It's a pain in the ass. Excuse my French. But don't overtrade it. Wait for something, or go out literally a bunch of months and, and have some options. I've tried that a bunch of times, and that's still not that easy. The easiest thing to do. RGTI. Yeah, some of these robotic plays look decent. Actually, this doesn't look so great. RGTI, it's up 10 cents. QBTS was the best quantum trade, but it's kind of loose and wide now. There are times and place for these things. This was your time and place for QBTS right here. Broke above $8, and then even gave you a nice bull flag and took out this 12 to get up to this, and now it just seems like it's a little extended. Is Rolando? That's funny. So I think every trader has been, I don't know why people like to do this. Everyone's is Netflix time for a short? Is Netflix time for puts? It's been the strongest stock out there. It's been a very good long. It's been trading perfectly with chart patterns. You look at Netflix. I haven't been that active because to me it's sometimes tough. It trades by appointment, so you can't see the relative strength, relative weakness. But look how tight this was. This was a great move. That was a nice move. Over 1064, it gave you a trade. Over 1162, it gave you a trade. And then yesterday, you had a tiny bit of a topping tail where it got to 1211. If you're trying to be cute and you're trying to time a short here, and you've been doing that for 6 weeks, you missed a big rally everywhere else. But anyway, if you were long, I would say put your stop here or 1171. And if you're looking for a cute short, hasn't really given you anything. It's down 49 cents. Woo. Anyway, it's not my style. Google, I do like Google. Google is one of the few names I'm still in. I'm still in options. Look at that, 268. It is nice. We were buying we were buying a ton in 170 calls. So yes, I do think Google works higher, and that should go up on your go-to list a little bit more. So with that being said, just so you guys know, tomorrow I will not be in the office. I'm on my way to the Bahamas, going with my best friend from high school who lit a candle at my bar mitzvah. That's how long our relationship is, and relationships matter. Yes, they do. So I will be on the road early using the trade desk and figuring out what I want to have on for tomorrow for the long weekend. And I'm also not going to be at my desk on Tuesday. For those of you in Florida, I'm hosting an event in Miami at M2 with Vicarious through Red Dog Mindset. So if you're in Miami and you want to go, send me a email, scottredler21 at gmail.com, and perhaps I'll see you in Miami. But anyway, with that being said, hopefully I had a good run. It's been a great market. I think a lot of guys are back towards their highs. Those with opinions probably aren't doing as well as others who have been flexible. If you look here at the pure technicals of the spies, obviously, we were in a downtrend, and then it got a little hairy. All of a sudden, we made a higher low right here of this W pattern, and this was the day that the active bulls took the ball back. This was April 22nd. From April 22nd on, all the way to about, I would say, this day, the active bulls have been in control. There's been lots of great trades in NVIDIA, even in the indices, in Tesla, in Uber. I got stopped out of yesterday. You guys want to talk Uber? On this candle, I sold some strength, and then I got out, and then here I just was like, you know what, it needs time now. So Uber, we'll see how it goes. I would think at some point Uber tests the 87, and that probably will be a good spot to buy. I don't, for those who are diehard Uber guys, which I'm not, it just was a great chart pattern that went up. It's caught in this little algo mess between, Tesla and Uber, because now they think that people are going to lend their Teslas out at night and drive for them while they're sleeping and make them money, which it's pretty far away. But anyway, with that being said, this kind of got loose and wide, and I just got away from it. Scott, when you trade the leverage ETFs, do you look at the underlying? Yeah, of course I do. So I guess he's saying if I'm trading, Tesla, which sometimes I do trade TSLL, of course I'm looking at Tesla, But anyway, TSLL also, I would say this is a big area. I did very well with TSLL. Sometimes it's so funny, like it's the same thing-ish, obviously percentage-wise, but some people, would rather take 3,000 of this than 500 Tesla. It's just things move differently. Sometimes I like to trade Tesla better when it's tight and ready to go through because, the ranges are bigger and I don't have to take as much size. And sometimes I like to, when I'm sitting in a swing, I go with this. It all depends kind of on the mood. So sometimes I do it. I rarely trade the doubles and the triples. I'd rather trade the underlying. And, I have enough buying power that it doesn't matter the price. I rarely use all my buying power. You think Tesla looks like a cup and handle? Let's see. That's true. This could be, that's here. This could be a big cup, right? Interesting. Right here. This could be a handle being built, and then at some point it takes this out and continues. If that's going to be the case, you really believe in autonomous. You really believe in what in autonomous vehicles. Like you believe in robotics. You believe in Elon. You believe in in that, and so which is good. I believe in it also when it's moving. But it does. This could be a little bit of a time frame of going sideways. So we'll see. It's good call, Sir Freedom. What do I think? I took the Snow calls for the pullback and it paid off with earnings. Great. Snow came out with numbers. Had a nice little setup. Right now, Snow is trading, I think, higher. I didn't do it. If you did it, great. Congratulations. It's up 17. Wow, big move. So what is it at 196? So Snow has a huge gap here. Look at this. So if you're in snowflake, if it gets above and stays above 195, there's a big gap to be filled all the way to 220. Interesting. So see how it deals with that. Right now it's at 196. So it's got the shorts on the run. It's good to see an option play work out. Lately a lot of option plays and earnings aren't really working out so great. Meta's holding 633, Jose says. Yes, okay. That shows you how much I've been trading Meta lately. I did trade Meta really well a week or two ago, and then I haven't just done anything with it. It's still above the gap. Like I showed you, Apple and Amazon already in the gap. It's just, broke below here. The whole AI, push out. I haven't been trading Meta as much. Again, I told you, it's fine. It's just a little sloppy. I think some of these things have some time to do, or some, but anyway. Some guys are asking me, why am I in bull? You know what? A lot of people that I talk to love this platform. Obviously something exciting happened here, and it's been grinding down since. It's got like a falling wedge type pattern. I think they have numbers soon. I feel like it's it's not a baby Robinhood, but it's something similar. And we all know what Robinhood has been doing. Robinhood has been in fuego. Robinhood, look at actually Robinhood did a topping tail yesterday, but it's been on the move. You could say this is like a red dog reversal into the old highs. But anyway, so if this has had such a huge move, I think some people are saying, hey, maybe this bull will have a good results and wake up and and see a move. But anyway, that's again, like I showed you with WRD. I trade, like I'm in pretty heavy in Google, and I love trading Tesla when it's moving, and sometimes Apple's great, and sometimes there are some one-offs that could make you money, and exactly. How do I play NVIDIA earnings? Okay, so this is what I've been doing with NVIDIA to leave you off. Holy shit, excuse me, it's 6:55. I've been doing this too long already. I've been accumulating some 140 calls for next Friday. So if we go sideways here, and if NVIDIA has a good quarter and good guidance, and they actually run it this time, I'm accumulating some 140 calls. And then if we get a move, or it looked better yesterday, now it looks like a little loose and wide. Like if you think about it, NVIDIA a year ago was higher. A year ago. And it's had 4 quarters of unbelievable earnings. So the valuation's coming down, the P's coming down. So I'm buying a little 140 calls just in case, and I'll see where it is, and maybe I'll create a spread, maybe I won't. If you trade actively for a living right now, you can make this a little bit bigger. I got stopped out yesterday. It looked really good yesterday for a little bit. Now you could set your stop at 130.59. Let it build here. Let it go sideways. But anyway, I appreciate you, my dogs. Hopefully everything is great. For those of you in the Red Dog Mindset who did the challenge with me, the Memorial Day challenge, we started a diet on January 6th. The way you build self-esteem is by keeping promises to yourself. I said, I'm not going to have a beer. I'm not going to have French fries. I'm not going to have bread and lettuce on a sandwich, no chips. And I went from 195 to 177.6 weight on Tuesday. So met my goal, stuck to my guns, You want to be able to make sure you have self-control, because in the stock market you need self-control too. So if you test yourself with self-control out of the market, maybe you could bring it into the market. Or these are just little games that I play, to keep life interesting. So Reddit sucks, Peter. NVTS, my friends have that. That's up a lot. I wouldn't buy it and chase it now, but congratulations if you took it. NVTS. Wow, nice little move. I wish I stayed with it. It's up. Wow, it's up 171%. There you go. Happens. Only in the business of trading can you get a move like that and make, 6 figures. That's why you take the good, you take the bad, and the way you get lucky is by sweating. The more you sweat, the luckier you get. And I say opportunity with preparation is what creates luck, not just, I don't know, not just throwing sugar honey iced tea against the wall. Have a great day, my dogs. Tune into the webinar at 1 o'clock.